101. The Theatre. Theatre Calgary, ATP and One Yellow Rabbit are all housed in the Epker Centre for the Performing Arts. The building is home to a fourth theatre, whose troupe and location remain a mystery to most. To find the theatre, which mounts performances 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, you must first acquire a key. The key works, even though the lock you'll need to use it on is the wrong shape. Enter the elevator that leads into the Maxwell Theatre and insert your key into the elevator's maintenance keyhole. Turn your key and punch all of the buttons in descending order. The doors will open on every floor, but the rooms beyond will be subtly wrong, and all inhabited by figures in strange papier match masks that do nothing but render their features blank. Finally, instead of reaching the parkade, the elevator will drop you off in the lobby of the theatre. The performance is ongoing, and is made up of 2 masked performers, both of whom face the audience. In clear, rhetorical English, they recite their lines 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with no breaks or rest. The language of the play is convoluted and wrong, as though translated from Russian by someone with a loose grip on English. The words are almost meaningless, but they open a door in your mind. What they let in depends on whether they're performing a comedy or a tragedy, but from that day on you'll see the masks in crowds and never quite belong in this world. 102. The surgery. There is a procedure they do, to awaken the part of your brain that knows how to listen. Elements of this surgery have been practiced throughout history. This surgery, akin to trepanation and lobotomy, was often misunderstood by hippies who accidentally killed themselves looking for a permanent high. The surgery's results are nothing like a high. In fact, the elevation of consciousness that results makes narcotic satisfaction problematic, especially for those who become proper acolytes. There is one surgery that does this kind of work in Calgary. It is located in the furnace room at Dalhousie Elementary and can only be found during the half moon as it relies on shaky borderlines. Enter through the gym, and you will find an improvised waiting room in the hallway. From the moment you sign your name to the walk-in sheet, there is no turning back. Your feet and hands will move of their own accord. You will walk into the surgery, lock the door behind you, and go to work. It's likely that you will black out during the procedure. This is a mercy. Try not to mind the gaps in your memory or the disappearance of one of the local children that will occur the same night as your operation. There is such a thing as a necessary evil, and until stem cell research is open to more fringe physicians, third eyes won't grow themselves. 103. The Free Weekly. Near the end of the week, the FFWD boxes start to get empty. When the one nearest your home is empty, try this. At midnight, bring a live bird with you to the box. Place it inside the empty box and wait. The bird will begin to thrash around, throwing itself against the walls and front of the box. Soon the little window will be covered in blood and feathers to the point where you cannot see through it. Wait until the box is silent and there is no longer any sound. Open the box. Inside, instead of the bird, you will find a copy of the latest issue. The only differences will be that the black ink has been replaced with red and the words with rambling, nonsensical stream of consciousness writings. They will be vulgar, violent and often disjointed. However, they will also provide you with insight into the mind of the man who is now destined to kill you. Should you defeat him when he comes using this insight, having cheated destiny, you will be forever ignored unless you set out to deliberately draw attention to yourself. No one will notice you unless you talk to or touch them directly, for good or for bad. 104. The Mason Jar. There's a small forested area no larger than a block in a small gated community near Hawkwood. Near the center, there's a small unlocked shed made from red tin. Inside is nothing but a set of rickety wooden shelves. In times past, they were used for potting plants or storing tools. But today all they have on them is a single mason jar. It's sealed tightly and opening it would be a death sentence. The jar appears to contain nothing other than a thin layer of soil at the bottom and murky water. However, occasionally the water will be disturbed as if something inside were stirring. Normally it's impossible to make out what's inside in the gloom of the shed, and taking the jar outside into the light would excite it so much that the jar would break. If you wish to see what's inside, Bring a black-handled knife. Cut yourself and bring the wound up to the side of the jar. The water will thicken to clay and take the shape of a small man. If he lunges at the wound, snarling, trying to bite, you're human. But if he cowers on the other end of the jar, whimpering, you've been replaced by one of them. 105. The Bakery. There is a Belgian baker in Calgary who is renowned for his great skill and his even greater bitterness. No one knows why the baker is filled with such disdain for the world despite his great talents and the success that they have wrought. Perhaps it is because of what you will discover if you go to his shop after hours. The baker's shop does most of its business in the morning, selling lattes and pastries to commuters driving into downtown from the south. By night, it is usually closed. But if you look in through the window, you will see the baker sitting alone in a corner, drinking coffee and eating something small and sweet and drizzled with red colors. If he notices you, he will get up and open the door and invite you in. This is your last chance to avoid the trial ahead. The baker will ask if you have eaten and snort derisively before asking if you know the epicerie next door. Say you don't, and that you prefer something sweet. He'll call you a man after his own heart and over to share something special with you. You have no choice but to accept, lest you wind up in the red colors. The baker will bring out a human heart, glazed with maple sugar, choked with cherry juice and custard and surrounded in a flaky crust. Eat this grisly treat, choking down the still warm, still half-alive organ, and you will be rewarded with an unearthly, haunting beauty, but your damnation will be complete and thorough. 106. The Epicure. This one, again, is written in a more formal style. It is likely this was written by another than the owner of the journal. There's an epicerie downtown I frequent. Well, frequented. I don't think I'll be back there again. Ever since I moved here, I've gone there for lunch, picked up an orangina and a croque monsieur, and ate it at the counter. The owner's a real epicure, one of those hardcore French gourmet. Listen Sandy, I know you wouldn't have asked unless you were interested, but this isn't really in your usual line, and Monsieur Boyer is a friend of mine. Don't go telling anyone this shit. Anyways, a couple weeks ago he smiles at me when I come in and tells me he's got something special and he wants to share it with me. He says he's got a couple ordelans smuggled in from a farm up north that raises the damn things in secret. An ordelan is like a finch or a bunting. But what the French do to them is just sick. They keep them in the dark and force-feed them oats and millet. Once they're fucking huge, they drown them in columns till brandy and leave them there until they cook them whole. You put it in your mouth until only the beak is out and then you bite down and eat it whole. Eyes, organs, all of it. The bones splinter and slash your gums and tongue, but that's part of it. It adds this salty, coppery taste. Monsieur Boyer put my head under the tablecloth before he served me. He says it's how you do it, so you can hide from God. I couldn't see anything, all I could do was feel him push it into my mouth, taste it, and chew. The next morning, I coughed up what looks like a human eye. Monsieur Boyer was gone and nobody has seen him since. Jesus Sandy, what the fuck did I eat? 107. The soup. There is a trio of blind homeless men in downtown Calgary who have been tending the same pot of soup for the last 50 years. Impossibly weathered, the trio have added more water, more bones, more half-rotten vegetables and more scraps to the pot for decades. Over the years, the soup has become thick and brown and heavy, rich with the flavors of thyme. The three guard their broth jealously and refuse to allow any others to eat it unless they bring something of power and value to trade. The three are almost impossible to find by choice. They reside in a splinter. To find the three, stand at 10th and 5th and slowly begin to walk south. As you move, the city will seem to grow denser and tighter, the buildings higher and the people dirtier and older. Eventually, the cars on the roads will give way to foot traffic and shanty towns, and the buildings will go dark and empty. Do not enter any of them, as the office workers inside have been replaced by toothful predators. Eventually you will find the three at the center of an intersection. Tell them you have brought the ingredient to complete their labor and offer them either a jar of allspice or a jar of air. If you offer the jar of allspice, They will give you a cup of soup spiced with it. You will gain all the boons that they can give, but the 3 old men will turn on you once they recognize the scent, as they are no friends of the downtrodden. If you offer them the empty jar, the blind old men will attempt to pour it into the soup and, by the process, fill it at least a quarter full. The broth will cure all injuries but leave your skin tough and leathery. Leave the splinter and never return. 108. The spray bottle. A bike path runs along John Lorra, between the road and a set of backyards. One of them is so dense with trees and sod and fungus that it is like a small forest. The fence is old and decaying and shot enough that it never truly provided an obstacle. Jump it and turn to your left. At the end of the fence, in the corner of the yard, you will see a disused greenhouse that hasn't held any plants, at least, not plants kept deliberately. Instead, it's full of rusting bikes and other garbage. And at the back, a spray bottle that remains full despite how long it's gone untouched. The bottle cannot be removed from the room for too long without losing its potency. But it's easy to get at least a good day's use of it. Anything sprayed with a bottle will be covered, in moments, with growth, vines, grass, fungus, flowers, whatever's nearest that could most conceivably cover whatever's sprayed. Slowly, the plants will grow into whatever's beneath them, consuming it regardless of what it is. Not even they are proofed against it, but the bottle's time limit and the long weeks it takes to regain its strength make it a limited weapon at best. 109. The index cards. There is a large residential home in Breton Close which was assembled piecemeal over the last 40 years. The house is notable for its large backyard and long driveway. Every Halloween, the man who owns the house doles out cotton candy in the garage while his wife remains inside, alone. Never eat the old man's cotton candy. There's more than sugar spun in its strands, and if you cross the precipice of his home without his consent after eating it, your body will turn to sugar and air. In the old man's kitchen there are a half-dozen boxes of index cards. Some document people, vital statistics jotted down in a genial handwriting that belies the exacting and invasive detail of the records. Others document formulas and complicated patterns that signify nothing, even to the most advanced acolyte. Still others are benign. But one set of index cards, kept under lock and key in the pantry, is more straightforward and more immediately of value. The cards were purchased from Eddie Dickey when the couple first arrived on our shores. They were so much older then. They have been adding to the collection ever since. If you have had any success as a seeker or acolyte, you will certainly find your name there. If any of the cards has a red dot in the upper right corner, or the name crossed out with ink from a fountain pen, the person or place or thing it describes will be visited by the old man. And then it simply won't be anymore. 110. The bookstore. There is a hidden bookstore that can be found in every city on the continent. In Calgary, it can be found in the basement of a pizza shop in Brentwood. Tell the owner that you're from the health department. When he asks what department, say mental health. He'll laugh, but he'll also unlock a door at the back of the kitchen which leads to a long, steep, rickety staircase that descends deeper into the ground than should be possible. At the bottom you'll find a small, strange shop and a man named Eddie Dickey. The shop specializes in the works of the homeless insane, with sheafs of scrawled mythologies from across North America, the Blue Lady of Florida, Chicago's gangster computer gods, and Calgary's. They are described in intimate detail in the unreadable ramblings. Dickey sells these sheafs for $1 a page, and it's worth it if you have the time to eke what meaning can be distilled from them. However, there is a shortcut to knowledge. Behind the counter, Dickey keeps a bookshelf with over 100 notebooks, diaries, clipboards, little boxes of index cards and the like. All have been prepared by acolytes and seekers and all describe the roadside horrors and urban attractions that we who favor the night enjoy. Dickey will let you have one of these, but for a price, you must prepare one of your own. If you don't, you will find yourself unable to read anything. The words will swim before your eyes and sort themselves into paragraphs of the filthiest invective. 111. The laptop. Beneath a nameless overpass is a dry concrete hole that descends into the city's foundations. Although the hole is open and unmarked, no one seems to fall into it or even come close. In fact, when you find it you will have to strain your eyes to see it. When you do, you will notice that the perfectly circular hole has no means of descent. The walls are too smooth to brace yourself against. The only way down is to jump. So jump, holding on all the while to perfect confidence that you will land unharmed. If your confidence vanishes, so will the mattress beneath you to break your fall. Once you land, get up and walk straight ahead through the dusty gloom. Eventually you will find a laptop computer sitting on top of a milk crate. The computer is on and its battery is perpetually at full, although it isn't plugged into anything. The screen doesn't display an operating system, instead showing a list of names that updates with a new name about once every 8 seconds. The foolish think that this is a list of who is dying, with each name representing another death. If you try to remove the computer, your name will appear and you will realize that they're wrong. The list is indeed of deaths, but it's about 5 minutes behind. 112, the ice cream truck. Edgemont is haunted every summer by an ice cream truck that only comes out after dark. Large and long and old-fashioned, unlike the small one-person trucks that drive the route by day, this truck and its sonorous, distorted bell fill everyone who hears it with a sense of unshakable anxiety. The locals are so shaken by it that they refuse to talk about it or deny its existence outright. Its comings seem to coincide with the new moon. If you steel yourself and manage to overcome the anxiety you will feel about sighting it, wave the truck down. The man who drives it has dead eyes and will only accept money minted before 1980. The truck's menu will be illegible with age, but ask for a sour cherry popsicle. The popsicle the man gives you will taste coppery and salty, but swallow every last mouthful without complaining about the taste. The man will smile and ask you if you want to ride along. Never accept his offer, no matter how tempted you feel. From that day forward, to your eyes the night will seem as bright as the day, and people will glow with the warmth of however many days of life remain for them. No one knows what happens if you flag the man down again or accept his offer. 113, the cellular phone. Enter Hillhurst Elementary after hours through the girls' store. Do not use the key to get in, as the school no longer stands in the desiccated world it opens onto. Instead, pick the lock through a more conventional means or secure the key through some legitimate method. Then climb the stairs. The school has collected a handful of ghosts like all buildings. Echoes of sound and heartbeat reverberate through the air. But the dead here are slow and calm. Climb to the top of the building and enter the cloakroom at the top of the staircase. It will be empty at this hour other than a leather jacket too large to belong to the children. You will hear a sound of a cellular phone's ring from the moment you walk in the room, and after a moment's effort you will find it in the jacket's pocket. The phone is an old Nokia. Open it and hold it to your ear, but say nothing. Do not even breathe. For as long as you can remain silent, the person on the other end of the line will tell you everything you need to know to solve whatever problem you're currently faced with. But once you breathe or speak, she will stop mid-sentence and scream. The scream will be deafening, and you will pass out quickly. Explaining your presence in the school at night, in the cloakroom, will prove surprisingly easy. Claim you came back to reminisce. The principal will ask if you were a student there once. Tell him you like to think you are always a student. He'll recognize you as an acolyte and allow you to leave, but from then on you will owe him a great and grievous favor. 114, the DVD. In the New Crowfoot Public Library, there is an extensive collection of DVDs that can be borrowed provided you have a card. One of these, which nobody seems to borrow, is inside a blank case that inevitably seems to get lost between shelves or reshelved in the wrong section. The disc inside the case is unmarked as well, although it isn't a DVD-R. Attempting to borrow the disc will earn you a strange look, but no strong protestations. Take the disc home and do not watch it until after dark. Put the disc into your player at 1 in the morning and press play exactly 10 seconds later. The screen will crackle to life in media res, the action already unfolding by the time the camera comes on. The scene depicts the murder of a man named Nick Maharis, gutted like a fish on the platform at Sunnyside Station, his intestines spilling out onto the concrete. The camera is dropped after he hits the ground, and the killers leave. The camera remains focused on Maharis as he bleeds out, watching the slow progress of his abdomen emptying onto the ground. Strangely, the pattern formed by his entrails differs every time you watch. He will make eye contact with you at the moment he expires. The disc is of no use to you unless you are skilled in haruspicy. If you are, you can see reflected in his innards the current future of the war. 119, the paper warehouse. There's a vacant lot in the southwest that's literally covered in paper, old newspapers, old photographs, decaying books, fast food wrappers. Anything paper and mass-produced. On Labor Day, the lot vanishes and is replaced by a small warehouse. Nobody notices because there's no way that a warehouse could go up that fast, is there? If you walk inside of the building, you will discover that it is in fact made of all the paper that was on the lot, which has been folded elegantly to resemble brick and sheet metal and concrete. The building will be furnished like an old importer's. Don't put your weight on anything, however, as every last object in the building is made from paper. There will be a display case against one of the warehouse's walls containing the only wares it has ever housed, a dozen rings. One of them is real, the rest are made of paper. If you pick up the real one on your first try, you'll be permitted by the aged Japanese man who seems to own the warehouse to take it with you. Never wear the ring, but instead give it to someone you love. For the rest of their life, they'll never fall ill. If you get one of the paper rings, wear it. It will bring you good luck and success at the office. 121, the key. There's a coffee shop in Bonus called Cadence. Go in and order a large black eye and specify that it needs to be made with the Prince of Darkness roast. Your coffee will be served in short order, and will consist of 4 shots of espresso poured into a cup of the house's darkest roast. The espresso will be oxidized, so the coffee will be the most bitter thing you've ever drank. If you fail to drink the whole cup, you will never be able to get the key. If you do down the entire drink, you'll find a small key blank at the bottom of the mug. Take it and leave. The blank will fit any lock in the city as if it were the appropriate key. However, the door will not open into the room it normally does. Instead, the room will be blood-stained and decayed, and a look out the window reveals a desolate apocalyptic landscape. However, some of these desolate rooms contain secrets and artifacts of the years to come. Be warned though, if the door closes behind you, the key will turn to dust in your hands. 122, the encasement. In the basement of New City Hall, in an unlocked room, there is a cube of concrete measuring about 6 square feet. The cube is the only object in the room, which even lacks a light bulb in the ceiling's sole socket. Despite this, the room is lit at all hours as if a sickly fluorescent bulb were installed in the ceiling. If you enter the room by day, other than the cube there is nothing of any note and no apparent reason to remain. However, if you do remain, you will find it highly educational. After City Hall closes, the cube begins to warm up. Heat spreads across its surface, as if something burning hot were within. When the cube is too hot to touch, it will begin to whisper to you. Everything it whispers is a lie, but the whispers are so dense and so thick that with enough patience you can begin to piece together the truth. However, should you let yourself get lost in the lies, the whispering will never go away and it will slowly drive you mad. 123, the kindergarten room. In one of the city's historic sandstone schools, the lowest floor is reserved for kindergarten. There are 2 classrooms set aside for the purpose, one of which is unused and locked at all hours. The windows are painted over with black paint, though you can sometimes make out movement inside. During the summer, when school lets out, the room is sometimes accessible if the other kindergarten room is unlocked. They share a cloakroom, and the unused room's door onto the cloakroom opens of its own accord at odd hours. Class is in session, but the children never play or speak. Their clothing is from a variety of vintages. The oldest looks like a Depression-era urchin and the latest wears a bright blue Ninja Turtles sweatshirt. The only one who will seem to notice your presence is the teacher. who won't appear to care. The room has a strange feeling of foreboding owing to the fact that other than the occupants everything seems to be old to the point of decay, older than it should be. The bookshelf in the room has a variety of children's books, all of which are slightly wrong. Though the titles will be familiar, the illustrations will depict a very different setting than the familiar versions. They seem more militant and even Winnie the Pooh takes on a martial air. Never take any of them from the room, or the teacher may decide to teach you a lesson. 125. The Window. There is a small downtown gallery housed in an aging sandstone building, its details weathered to nothing with age, that is almost entirely empty save for a handful of pop art prints, a lost Akiriko, and the window. The first is of no interest, the third is part of a triptych which must never be completed, and the third is a simple window hung like a painting on the back wall. The window always seems to have its share of admirers, typically young students or other idiots. The window appears to be painted on the other side, depicting a scene of suburban carnage. Executed in perfect photorealism, a man with an axe standing on a bloodied lawn, the neighborhood children behind him, chopped to bits. The man is standing on the lawn, mid-stride, approaching the window with a white picket fence behind him that is stained with gore. Do not gaze at the painting too long, allowing yourself to get caught in its brush strokes is a death sentence. Instead, enter the gallery's back room. There, you will discover the body of the owner, decomposed and dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. On the wall behind him, beneath the bloodstain, you will see photographs pinned to it of the window. In the first, the painting depicts an empty lawn. It's dated October 5, 2001. Within a year, the children have appeared. Within 6 months of that, so has the man. The last photo, dated the 1st of this year, depicts the man approaching the window, although he's still further away than he is now. Never open the window, and never ever break it. 131. The +15 walkways. Downtown Calgary is home to a small network of enclosed walkways, a skywalk, called the +15 system. The +15s are designed to encourage pedestrian traffic during the day, but are closed at night. The city claims that this is for the sake of the security of the buildings connected by the walkways and to prevent transients from living in them. However, the actual reason is much more interesting. While the core of the system is open from 7 a.m. until midnight, the western and eastern edges of the system are locked at 9 p.m. If you are able to sneak into the closed systems at midnight, you'll discover new walkways that don't exist during the daylight hours. If you walk down these pathways, you'll eventually emerge in the Minneapolis Skyway. The Minneapolis Skyway connects every skywalk system in the world. Be warned, however, that if the skywalk you enter from it isn't in a city where the time is between midnight and 6 a.m., you may find that walkways you rely upon no longer exist.